Welcome back to the den, everybody. This week we are actually going to be using our craft beer kit that we featured on our Instagram and Facebook page not too long ago. As you can see here, we'll go ahead and zoom in. It's Craft Brew. It's an Oak Aged IPA. And if we turn the box to the side here, you can go ahead and see that's everything that's going to be coming in the box. And then we'll go through it as we're making our beer. On the back here are the 4 easy steps, pretty easy to follow. And on the side is a bit about the craft beer kit from Craft Brew. It's supposed to be ready in about 2 hours, or the wort's supposed to be ready in about 2 hours, and then I think it's another 2.5 to 3 weeks fermentation. Again, we'll find all that together once we go ahead and get to the part of this where we start our brewing. As we're brewing, we're going to go ahead and enjoy our Smog City Brewing Company, the Amarillo Gorilla. Now, this is a fantastic IPA with a great smooth mouthfeel, and this is actually my second 4-pack of tall cans because it's just so dang good. Sitting at 7.4% alcohol by volume, this 1-pint beer can is pretty amazing. The mouthfeel is great and the flavor is delicious, but we'll go more over that while we're brewing. Let's get started. Alright, so you ready, guys? Missed the first thing. Second thing, brewing guide. Go ahead and put that down to the side over here. We have our thermometer in here. We'll go ahead and put this back here. We do have the thermometer that we're going to be using, but we also have this high-tech one that is supposed to be extremely accurate. We'll go ahead and keep that as well. We have our tubing here for the end of the beer. Who else do we have? Hey, Red, thanks for joining us. Hi, Mama Bear. Oh, hi, Lissy. How's it going? We have our serving spoon thingy. So technical. We have our funnel. All right, now we're getting into the fun stuff. So this here is going to be the Airlock. So this helps with the fermentation. Very important piece. Also very plastic and fragile. We have our 1 gallon for our fermenting, 1 gallon drum here, or glass jug there. We're also going to use that to measure out the water that we're going to be used for boiling our mash and everything, or wort. And then this here has everything that we need in it. So, oh, one more thing. We have our cork. Okay, so it was, the raking cane was this is the raking cane. Then the thermometer, rubber stopper, airlock, funnel. Yeah, basically, I got everything right, other than the raking cane. And we're not entirely sure what the raking cane's for yet, so, you know, all's good. Next up, we have our ingredient. All right, so in our burlap bag here, we have, starting off, is our yeast pack and our sanitizer, so we can sanitize everything. So we got our yeast pack and sanitizer and a cheesecloth, which is going to be used for the fermentation. So it says to age for about a week to 2 with the oak chips, and it says the longer that we let it age, the more oak you're going to get into your beer. So we'll probably let it age for an entire month and see how we go. Next up, we have our toasted oak. We have our barley, and then we have our various hops. So we'll put all this to the side as well. After that, we have the biggest bag in here, which is going to be our malt. So they're using a malt extract. Pretty cool, I think, at least. Dried malt extract. All right, fantastic. So we'll put our dried malt extract down to the side. And again, that's everything in our burlap bag. And we'll go ahead and save this because we're pack rat. So first things first, we need to get a gallon of water. We're going to go ahead and get that right now. All right, we have our gallon of water. Pouring our gallon of water in. But I have a giant tamale pot that I'm using. So I could definitely fit more than one. And this is going to be our first test batch of running beer. I want to go ahead and try brewing a few different beers. And if I do seem a bit tired, I did just get off work a couple hours ago. But you know what they say, no rest for the wicked. So let's keep going. This is literally my first time brewing a beer. Like at all. At all. So I know that we need to get this up to 155 degrees. And we're at 16 degrees currently. 62 degrees. There you go. 63. All right, so we need to get that up to 155. Here you go. Pour as close to a gallon, 3.8 liters of water into your pot as you can, but leave at least a few inches, which we have more than just a few inches in there, of room to prevent boilovers. Don't worry, you can always add more water to get 3.8 liter mark, indicated by the 1 gallon text on the fermenter. Oh, well, we went a little above that. That's fine. After brewing, place your pot into the burner and turn up to high. Already did that. Okay, so after this gets to 155 degrees, 68 degrees Celsius, we're going to go ahead and start steeping our grains for 20 minutes. So let's go ahead and get our grains ready. So again, these are our grains here, and this is the cheesecloth that we're putting them in. Alrighty. Start pouring our grains in. Get all of our grains in there. Throw that bag away, and then get everything to the bottom of the cheesecloth. So we're going to go ahead and knot it off, like they said. Knot off our cheesecloth like so, and then place that to the side. If you guys want to go ahead and see me get my back tattoo done, because I'm planning on getting my back tattoo pretty soon here, and you guys want to see that on the YouTube channel, go ahead and leave a comment either on here or on the YouTube channel or the Instagram or just the Facebook page. So just if you want to see that video of me just going through excruciating pain getting the back tattoo, go ahead and let me know. Okay, so what we did was we put our yeast in there, not our yeast, we put our grains in there, steeping at 155. Now we're going to try to keep the temperature around 155 for about 20 minutes. After that, we're going to go ahead and pull our grains out and then move on to the next step, which we're going to read now. So the grain has to boil or it's not a boil, it's at 155, which is just barely boiling, and that's for 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, and then we're letting the grains steep. Now, when we pull the grains out after the 20 minutes, we're not going to squeeze the bag because we don't want the extra tannins in there, because that's going to make the beer way more bitter than we want it to be. Okay, then after we go ahead and get it steeping, then we're going to go ahead and remove the cheesecloth bag. We're going to bring it up to a boil, and then after we start seeing the first bubbles coming up from the boil, which again is around the 160 temperature, we're going to go ahead and start mixing in our extract. 3 minutes, and then we're moving on to our next step. So we're going to go ahead and refresh on our next step. Step 1 was getting our 1 gallon of water and putting it in the pot and getting it to 155. After we got to 155 degrees, we went ahead and put our grains inside the cheesecloth and then put the cheesecloth in there. We let it steep for 20 minutes. Again, we're coming to the end of our 20 minutes. Now, step number 3 is we're going to go ahead and remove and discard the grains, but we're not going to squeeze the grains because that's going to allow extra tannins to get in. And we don't want the extra tannins to get in there because it's going to make the beer more bitter than we want it to be. Next, we're going to bring our wort, the unfermented beer, to a boil. So beer, when it's before it goes ahead and ferments, when you're in the process of brewing it, it's heated, it's called wort. So it's not fermented or fermentation, it's called wort. So we're going to go ahead and get our wort, and we're going to go ahead and bring our wort to a boil. After we get our wort to a boil, we're going to go ahead and bring it off of the burner. So we're going to bring it to this side over here. And then we're going to go ahead and slowly mix in our malt extract. Pretty good. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and remove our... It's so hard to not squeeze it, because I really want to. So we're going to go ahead and remove this all the way to the trash can over here. And there goes our grains. I really hope we didn't need that again. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and bring our pot to a boil. We're going to remove our thermometer. Just put it off to the side there. And bring this to a boil. Now again, we're pretty close to a boil already because we're sitting at 160 degrees. So we're going to go ahead and just let it heat up just a little bit so we get a couple more bubbles in there. All right, so as you can see here, we got the bubbles coming up already. We're going to wait until we get a couple more bubbles, and then we're going to go ahead and move it off to the side. And again, after we move it off to the side, we're going to go ahead and start mixing in our malt. Now, we're using the Brew Pilsner malts. Go ahead and bring that up there. The Brew Pilsner malt, which is a dry malt and not a wet malt. So there are two different types of malt. You can get malt extract, which is wet and syrupy, which you'd have to squeeze through. Then you can get the dry malts like this, which is more of a powder, and you have to mix in a lot slower because this will have a tendency to clump. Alright, now we're moving off of our burner here. We're going to turn this burner off so we don't have any accidents because we're... Yeah, here we go. We're going to grab a wooden spoon. Again, I should have had this out beforehand, but we didn't, so. And we're going to start mixing in our malts. Slowly. Making sure it's not clumping. Okay, so the next step is we're going to be adding in our hops. So here we have our bittering hops, which is going to be Cascade, which is added in, and it's going to let to boil for 60 minutes. Now, 30 minutes into that, once we hit the 30 minutes mark, we're going to add in our late bittering hops, right there, which you can see is a Willamette hops. And then at 2 minutes in, we're going to be adding our flavored hops, which is our Goldings. Our Golding hops here. So this is added in at 2 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and set our timer here for 60 minutes. Oops, too far. For 60 minutes. And we got our boil going. We're going to go ahead and mix this in, once we can get it open. Alright, we're going to use our trusty handy dandy knife over here, again, which is not sharp. I need to go grab my other knife. Okay, so let's go ahead and add in our Cascade hops. So again, our Cascade hops is going to be at a boil in our wort. Oh, that really smells amazing. I really hope you could I really wish you could smell it. That's pretty good hop. All right. Oof, add those in and start our timer. Give this a good old mix. Now this is when your wort starts getting really aromatic. So here, as you can see now, we have our first stage of hops mixed in here. As you can see, that is going to actually be a dark beer, which is exciting. But grab this here, and we're recording. Great sound. Great sound of opening up a brand new beer. Alrighty, let's do this. And we'll go ahead and talk about. So this is Smog City Brewing. Smog City Brewing. Great can art here. Forceful notes of mango, papaya, and a touch of citrus, and pine in the nose are balanced by a light malt profile and restrained bitterness to keep this beast drinkable. This is one big, beautiful hop bomb. Rich tropical hoppiness. As you can see right there, they got a pretty cool can design there on the side there. And again, this is 16 fluid ounces at 7.4% alcohol by volume. And I think everything about this can is pretty amazing. Like the can art and everything that they do with it. So pretty good beer. If you haven't tried already, the Amarillo Gorilla, I highly recommend. Okay, so next we're going to be adding up our Willamette hops here. So we're adding our Willamette hops, and this is for our late bitterings. So we're going to go ahead and add that in. There really wasn't that many hops compared to the first one. We're going to go ahead and give a nice little mixture here. Get everything nice and going. That's actually giving you, again, another boost in the aroma. But it doesn't, I wouldn't say, it doesn't have the nice, aroma that the Amarillo has. Okay, so now we're going to be waiting for the 2-minute mark. At the 30 minutes, we just added our Willamette hops late bittering. And we're going to be waiting for the 2-minute mark now to add in our aroma hops, which is the Goldings. And that's get added 2 minutes at the end of the boil. So, super exciting. Almost there. Okay, so what we just did now is we just scrubbed down the sink and we put our, started filling it up right now. We also put our sanitizer in there. The reason why we're putting the sanitizer in there is we're going to get ready to start doing our fermentation. Now, when you're doing your fermentation, you want the least amount of contamination as possible. So you're going to go ahead and start sanitizing all the equipment you're going to be using, such as the funnel, the strainer, the gallon fermentation thingy, and the tubes. You're going to be saving about half your sanitizer from the brew kit in order to make sure that you have enough for bottling. Now again, we're going to be doing the sterilization of bottles a different way. If you go to the YouTube channel, we'll go ahead and show you how we're going to do that. I need to get back over there to go ahead and start getting everything ready. What we just did is we added the Goldings hops, which is the aroma. Get that focused in there. And we just added that in right now. And that's going to be the last thing that we added, which was at the 2-minute mark. So now what we're waiting is for this to go ahead and the timer to go off. And we'll go ahead and start getting this cool down and tempted. Okay, so our timer is now up. What we're going to do is we're going to move this off of the burner here. Need our glove. All right, now I need to go grab some ice, everybody, so stand by and I'll be right back. So we're gonna let that sit for a little bit, and we're gonna go ahead and bring over our other camera here. Okay, so what y'all have missed is we're sitting here and we're waiting for this to get 75. So this is currently sitting at 81 degrees, 82. So we just got our wort here to 74 degrees. We have our strainer set up on top of our thing here. We're going to be pouring in and try not to make a mess. Looks like a baby shit all over it. All right, that's good. Throw that away. Gross. Take this out. What's our next step? I think our next step is the yeast. Sanitize, verify, done. You don't have a full gallon of wort. Brewing, you need to add cool water as needed just below the 1 gallon line. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and fill our tankard up here with some water. We're going to go ahead and clean off the crap that we have on it. Nobody's watching, that's fine. And then we're going to go ahead and put some water in here, like so. Alright, so we got this now filled to our 1 gallon line here. As everybody can see. Go ahead and make it so everybody can see this. Okay, so we now have this filled to our 1 gallon line right here, just underneath the 1 gallon mark. And now we need to go ahead and add our yeast, which is here. We're going to be adding our yeast to our 1 gallon full. Alright, let's see our yeast here. If it wants to open up, which I don't think it wants to open up. There we go. So now we have our yeast opened, and as you can see in there, you can see our yeast. You'll see in there, you'll see the yeast. We're going to go ahead and add that in now. So as you can see, it's going to be a nice dark colored beer. We've added our yeast in. Okay, so now we need to oxygenate the yeast. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and grab our stopper, put our stopper on the top here, push it in. Now our stopper's naturally going to stick out a bit. That's okay. We're going to grab our hand, put it on the top here, like so, and then we're going to oxygenate the shit out of it. Just really make sure we get a lot of shakes in there. Well, that's probably not good enough. We'll just keep going. Just keep going. Shake, shake, shake. Shake, 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 shake. Okay. So after we oxygenate, and we need to go ahead and use our rubber tubing, and we're going to be making another ad hoc So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be placing this end of the tube into a glass that has water in it, which we're going to be using a mason jar because I have plenty of those. This end of the tube into the water. And this is going to be an ad hoc airlock. And what's going to happen is because when this initially starts fermenting for the first 48 hours, it's going to have a lot of carbonation coming out, which is going to be a bit much for this small airlock to handle. So for the first 48 hours, we're going to be using this concoction. After that 48 hours, we're going to be moving to the smaller airlock to go ahead and finish the fermentation process. So that's how we brew a beer. This is our first brewing. Again, we're going to go ahead and check in on this in another day, which might be added to this episode or it might be added to the next episode. Thank you for joining us and with brewing this beer. Now this is an Oak Aged IPA. You're going to find all the information for the craft brewing kit down below. This weekend we're going to be heading out to a Cascade. We're going to be filming out there. So we might get the airlock change in this video or in the next video. But go ahead and keep tuning in on the Facebook page, Hyenas Den, Instagram, Hyenas Den, or our YouTube channel, Hyenas Den. in order to keep up to see how this turns out and what we do. We may be using a bottling method with actual bottles, or we may bottle it into mason jars because I have plenty of those laying around and they're easy to clean, easy to use, and easy to reuse. If you like the video, go ahead and leave a like. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. It helps us out tremendously. Here's to you.